Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. This one is going to be a solo commentary. So just gonna play this solo top VOD and commentate over everything I'm doing. So here I enter with a bow prefire, and I switch to my Relos and one tick the Eldermaw spec of the Relos because the Relos does not has enough range accuracy so that it drains your range if you're wearing it instead of draining your melee. And then just go into Check Perfect Scything of Maiden. You pretty much want to Scythe proc the entire time. Dodge the blood as best you can, and uh, that's a wrap. Maiden on its surface is pretty boring, but it can get a little therapeutic at times, honestly, because it is very repetitive and it's very satisfying to be able to do an entire Maiden tick perfect because it's so long. It actually is a little bit challenging, especially when the blood starts coming out to sustain a tick perfect Maiden. But it is a little realistic, unlike other tick perfect, unlike doing other bosses tick perfectly that are less realistic. So it's pretty fun to try and do that with Maiden. So here I lost a tick because I was too far away. But another thing you can do if you get a 1 or 2 and a 4 is you can actually wait a tick, or no, you can, instead of freezing the 4, you can run at it and scythe it after freezing the 1 or 2. And then if you hit big with that scythe, you'll want to do a second scythe instead of freezing it. And if you hit small with the scythe, you switch your mage gear and you freeze it so that it doesn't leak too much. But essentially the concept of that is most of the time you actually will hit big, and a scythe is much better DPS than a barrage. So if you're able to completely kill it without barraging it at all, that's much better DPS and gonna result in a faster maiden for you. So we'll see what we get on this next spawn and see if I do that at all. It can be hard to run at it with blood. Obviously you want to freeze it if you cannot see a path to it with blood. Here I wait for the 2 to clump, which isn't the worst idea. I do go for another barrage, which is bad. The only reason you wait for it to clump is because you have to freeze 3 anyways. So you lose 2 ticks, but you gain an extra barrage spot, or 3 ticks. Not sure which it is. And then here, as I'm regenning, I throw my Relic spec at the boss, so that's pretty good timing. Another thing, something I could have done better there is I could have drank my Divine Range pot to be repotted for the Relic spec. I did not do that, so that may have been why I missed one of the hit spots, but I was still able to reduce the boss by 35 defense. And here again, just scythe proccing 30s, dodging the blood. Sometimes Blood Fury just pops off. So as you can see, I'm already 50 HP. If you get a 3 either side, you can do an extra scythe and then freeze the crab. If it's a north 3, I will generally wait for it to clump as well, just for that extra hit spot as on the 3 as I'm freezing the 4. As you can see here, I am starting my divine or locator redemption method to maintain my HP above 0, because or in general to maintain it above 20 or above 19, because that's the best way to do that without brewing. If you brew, then not only do you hit unpotted, you also have to use a super combat to repot. So brewing is not ideal at all. Much better to use redemption, and as long as you get piety back on, you can essentially use redemption with no downsides. Obviously you have to use the prayer, but you don't lose any ticks and you don't have to repot, so very effective use of an inventory slot, the prayer potion for redemption. And yeah, the maiden will die here pretty soon. For the specs I got, a 4-3x maiden is probably, it's a little bit worse than I'd like, but again, for the specs I got, it's fine. Not bringing thralls, revenge, or anything like that, so you're gonna generally get like 4OX is fast, 4-1X is decent, 4-2X is probably average, and 4-3X a little above average. And then on to bloat. Here we'll see if I do it. Sometimes I did not wait any time before entering. But sometimes I will wait to enter because if you wait a few ticks, then he's more likely to go down right in front of you so that you can get 7 hits without getting flied at all. We'll see if I try to do that. You can still try to do that. If you don't wait, you just have to hope that it's a pretty long down. But I think it is insta down here. Something I did wrong there is I started walking back as like in case he kept going a little too early. I easily could have waited and reacted to him keep walking forward to dodge the flies a few ticks later, and I wouldn't have been flied at all. But I do still get 5 hits here. Unfortunately, I take a fly, which is extra damage, and I take another fly here. Taking it just in case. So that's not ideal gameplay, but I'll move on. Another thing to note here is I forgot to imbue heart. You want to imbue heart before Maiden, then right after Maiden, and that way, if you get drained at all while freezing, you'll still be able to hit the freeze threshold, and then for like shadowing bloat, the imbued heart gives you a few maxes and increases your accuracy. But if you do imbued heart mid bloat, then you're gonna have to end up potting the heart again mid waves if you want it for the waves, and then it won't be ready when the waves end for the boss, because usually at the end of the waves you brew, and you want the imbued heart to expire so that after brewing you can heart again. Whereas if you like are able to heart right before the waves start, then usually the waves, even if they're fast, like 420s, you'll be able to heart pretty quickly after brewing a bunch at the end of the waves, and you'll have the heart for the boss, because the main reason you bring the shadow is indeed for the Nylo King. Bloat, again, is pretty boring, but you just want to make sure that you get 5 hits every single down, and you tick eat stomp, tick the flies. I practice this light bear flicking, where essentially I have my light bear on while I'm shadowing the boss and while it's running around, and then I put on my old Xarp before it goes down, right as I regen my spec, so that I'm able to, throughout the boss, I end up getting 20% more spec than I would have if I didn't do that. And this allows me to, or 30% if it ends up being a 6-down. So this allows me to either change a claw to become, change a chally to become a claw, or it allows me to chally 6 times if it's a really slow bloat. But usually if it's 6 down, that's not desirable at all. So you don't usually need that chally, but sometimes you'll like open chally on the last down. But you can see here me thinking about clawing, but then I decide not to because I might not have regened. I do end up regenning though. Definitely could have clawed like the first hit, but it doesn't really matter which hit you claw. This does allow me to get the down. Another thing here, you can redemption right as you do your last swing, gives you more HP. Does remove your piety. You don't want to waste a restore to get your piety back. It gives you HP, so if you're doing it right on the last swing and it's going to die anyways, you're able to divine before the room ends, so that you then get healed by the room ending, and you don't lose that 10 HP between rooms while you divine. Here I need to drink the range pot, and I'm off to Nylo. I try my best to just run straight between rooms, not waste too much time, organize my inventory. Obviously, I do organize it, but trying not to dilly-dally as best I can. Put the sweets in a good spot because I like to combo eat the sweets at the end, especially. In the future, I've been pre-potting a stam, and as you'll see here, I tend to run out of energy, so probably should do that. I don't find that it's worth the inventory space to bring an entire stam into Nylo, but yeah, you'd want to pre-fire those bows, and then that claw scratch after the barrage. You can get another barrage here. It is a kind of low value barrage because I hit that 2 mage, but then I always claw this big melee and keep blow piping this mage. Look for barrages, just trying not to lose ticks. Obviously, could have just shadowed the big and hoped that I got it, but I did not. In general, you can still throw a random shadow out as if it was a saying, instead of just sitting still and AFKing in the room. It's much better than that. Here, I do decide to go for that claw. The reason I do that is because, yes, the ranger just spawned, but I don't have a long-range weapon like chins, or slow long-range weapon like chins, so I'm not going to sit there T-bowing the big range. Now that I say that, I may actually consider T-bowing the big range in the future, but that's what the thought process was there. Here, I don't lose ticks while I get the melees together, so that's pretty clean. And then I do end up claw scratching to just finish it off. I do like killing all the aggros because it just leaves me with a lot more HP. But you probably could leave some of the aggros if they are high tick, because here I get the melees together and I'm able to slice both of them. But yeah, I mean, you can even see like blow pipe specking and still getting nuked and have to. Really should have blood barraged that, I guess. If I was better at blood barraging, maybe I could also leave more aggros because I'd have more HP. But you want to stay in the middle of the room as well to try and dodge the explosions and kill these 16 rangers before they switch to mage, and killing a split there. I'm killing a small there because then kill the big aggro. Killing a small there because that way I don't stall on this 19, which can improve your wave times a bunch. I really should have just instantly gone for the scythe. The only thing I am worried about there is I'm worried about the 17s exploding. Luckily, like 17 exploded there and did not kill me, or did not explode on me, so that's very good. You can wait for that aggro melee to just switch to range. I did not opt to do that. For some reason I got exploded by big, that must have been the 19. And then I usually do dump my claw specs on these big aggros. Not sure what hit me at 21 there, must have been another big, and then just waiting for the next wave to spawn. This was a little dumb because, you know, obviously I lost whatever, 6 ticks, however many ticks waiting for it to spawn, but if you are able to first tick that, it really can help your solving of the aggros just go pretty smoothly. And as you can see here, I do one hit everything, so that makes it go smoother, but I don't want to hit the mage, and then, yeah, that's not the best here, but try my best and then switch to range. And of course you have the small mage, but I need to blood barrage, so I misclicked the blood barrage like 3 times. That's not ideal. And I am ice barraging here to try to save the pillar HP, because that's the highest HP pillar, but it's already pretty low, so I want to make sure that it doesn't fall. All these other pillars are going to fall, as you see here in a bit. I need to start chugging my sweets, and you know, almost do die here. But if you keep chugging brews, usually can out heal the aggros. I should have also prayed mage and put on my tank gear, which is my Torva and Blood Fury, but I did not do that. I am in mage gear, so I may go for. Oh no, I'm trying to kill the crab on the pillar. May go for Blood Barrage. I do go for Blood Barrage. And then here, I really should not have maged this, but it's really aggravating that it doesn't die in 2 shadows, and it's not like I'm brewed down at all. I was 99 mage. But then I brew down here because, you know, the aggro is just raping me. And my idea is, oh, I'll shadow it after I finish blow piping. I am able to do that, but yeah, unfortunately, pretty slow waves, and did use pretty much all my brews. Another, you know, strategy you can here is as you're divining, you can pop a redemption with the divine, so that can give you a little more HP, which is beneficial. Then I always start the Nylo King with Scythe and then Chally, and if I end up getting more spec, I'll just dump Claws, because after the Scythe and then Chally, you pretty much use all your ticks every single phase, since you, with Shadow over a Sang, you have a 5-tick weapon for Mage. And instead of blood barraging when I get low HP, I will opt to Redemption Flick, which will usually give me HP, but it is very dangerous, as if you miss Flick, you will take an off-prey hit, which maxes 70, so That's not ideal, but am able to. Of course, when you are at redemption flicking, you're not 7 HP, so usually die. But another thing I do here is I T-bow in Ancestral, but then as soon as does his hit, I switch to Torva because Ancestral has negative range bonus, but it has a lower, or like a basically closer to 0 negative range bonus than Torva does. So it's better to T-bow in. It would be ideal to T-bow naked actually, but I don't do takeoffs. I'm not that good. If you did do takeoffs, it would move the items around your inventory, so it'd be really annoying. The other thing I do is I step under on the melee phase sometimes because I find that easier than flicking the prayer. And that way I'm able to save more prayer. Just simpler than, because you'd have to put on both piety and pray melee. It's just simpler to step under and step out again, and it doesn't hit you just like on all the other phases. And yeah, pretty much, I'm pretty sure this is a tick perfect. Now looking, when I do the claw spec, I guess, I change that and do stay out, but that's just because the timing to do the claws, to put on the claws and equip the spec bar, is the same timing as probably when you'd step under. So it's simpler just pray both. But as you will notice, when I prayed both, I used a little bit more prayer. Like I turned on both the pray melee and the piety, but I didn't turn them off immediately the way I would turn off the way I would turn off piety if I step under. So it's just easier to flick the piety off when I'm stepping under, which saves more prayer. And basically this entire Nylo King I did with like 10 prayer because I just redemptioned at the end. You can't just chug all your prayer. You have to save it for, the other bosses. But all around, that was a pretty fast Nylo King, 248. 5-minute wave is pretty terrible, but 748, relatively respectable Nylo time. And we're after Soda Zeg. On Soda Zeg, you want to make sure that you pre-fire with a Shadow, because it just has a lot more accuracy than a T-bow. Which I missed the pre-fire, but I do hit the hammer spec. Because I do have a light bearer, I try to light bear mazes, but usually works out is I regen to 80. And then I don't bring a rock cake, so I regen to 80% spec, and then it's about to proc, and I put on the ring, and by the time I get across the maze, manually solving it. By the way, link in the description to a tool which will help you like manually solve mazes with reference tiles that I have marked. May also update the description to add a paste bin with all my tiles for Soda Zeg. And that way you'll have both the Shadow Realm and normal tiles. But essentially, instead of skipping the maze at 1 HP with a rock cake, I just solve it by taking a screenshot of the inside, and then here is really nice that I was able to regen 2 HP. I think I may have like lost ticks stepping back because now I'm on a weird tick, but regens, Blood Fear healed right before when I was 65 up to 71, and that way I didn't have to tick eat. Saves me a little HP. But here you can see me move my mouse off screen to take a screenshot. I move my mouse off to pull up the screenshot, and then I basically have the reference tiles on the screenshot, and then I have the reference tiles outside. You see 80%, so I put on my light bear. I also will need to Divine Super Combat, but right now I'm just basically looking at a screenshot and looking at the reference tiles in the game itself and the reference tiles screenshot and comparing. And then also this last row, pretty much always skip off on 3. I should have probably put my altar back on right at 90, but I think I'm going to leave it on here until 50. Or no, I did put my altar on. Okay, that's gaming. And then after a 6-tick maul spec, you're on the cycle where it's really easy to flick the orbs here. One thing to note though, I do tick eat this ball, but after tick eating, I don't wait the full 5 ticks. I only wait 4 ticks, and now if you waited 3 ticks, you'd be chancing melee. But now I'm hitting one tick ahead, and so I'm able to hit right before he does his other bomb. And if you continue the cycle, so after this next ticky, I'll only use 3 ticks a ticky instead of 5. You can continue the cycle over 3 bombs to get back to the same spot where you lost 10 ticks instead of if you were to not do this and like always wait 5 ticks a ticky, in 3 bombs you'd lose 15 ticks. So now I'm on this slightly different cycle where I'm hitting the last tick before he attacks. I still step back to not chance the melee. And yeah, this way I basically save a scythe over the course of 3 different bombs. And even here, I'm saving 2 ticks as compared to where I would be, or 3 ticks compared to where I would be if I had waited 5 ticks on every ticky. So now, or yeah, probably 2 ticks. So now I'm on the original cycle I was on, and you could see I did put on my light bear earlier there. That's just a mad dash for 100% spec because it's really nice to have 2 specs for the last phase. But I take a screenshot here, same deal, pull up the screenshot and run the maze from the screenshot. And now I know exactly where the start tile is from the based off the reference, switch them all. Now I do a bit of hesitation here, but after this hesitation, I'm pretty quick with it. Again, link in the description for a maze trainer and skip off on 3. Alter, I did not get alter on for the first spec, but did get alter on for the second. And yeah. And so now after these 2 other mouse specs, done ticky to the ball, and it's actually a decently fast Sotazig. Not world record by any means, but anything under 6 minutes is pretty good. It's the same dealio with ticking the ball. If you do happen to get above 23 or 23 or above 22 or 23 or more HP, with your Blood Fury while you're just flinching here, you can stand in melee distance. You can also just chance yourself at 20 HP or 21 or whatever, but technically it can melee at 21, though it is pretty rare. But here I'm at 24 HP, so I should stand in melee distance. I opt not to, keep flinching. I guess one thing about flinching here is it's just a little bit safer, like you're not having to switch between prey melee and worry about, it's easier to flick your piety, and the boss was about to die, so I knew I wasn't going to get another bomb anyways. Decant my super combats, and on to the next round. And yeah, and we just have Xarp. And yeah, I mean, not much to say here. Oh, I guess we could talk about what supplies. So usually I get 3 brews for Verzik and then fill the rest of my inventory with prayer pots. I will usually pre-pot a stem for Xarp, but I don't bring a stem for Verzik just because I usually have extra points to pre-pot a stem. I won't pre-pot a stem if I don't have those points. You don't need a stem for Xarp, it's just sort of reclined, but there's no real reason to need any more points. Not sure exactly what I'm thinking here. Maybe I was talking to chat, was streaming this, but yeah, I think I picked up the stem again because I realized I had to go, and I wanted to be fully pre-potted. I wanted to be fully pre-potted, and so when I get back to the computer, I will drink the stem again right before I go in. But looks like I'm gonna start Xarp with 7 or 8. Yeah, so I'm just buying restores because I have so much extra points that restores are better than prayer pots if you have extra points. And yeah, so start Xarp on 0 as usual. And set my quick prayers. Here I do need to drop an item so that I can equip my Elder Maul, but that's pretty easy to do. At any point, you can use the visual metronome here to step off. So I think I noticed that I can step off on 4. So I do step off on 4, and that way you have the maximum amount of time to run back to the middle of the room, which can really be a lifesaver if you get exhumes on opposite sides of the map. Unfortunately there, I clicked a little wrong, so I could have gotten to it a tick sooner if I'd gone on the other side of Xarp, but unlucky. And then, yeah, usually stand in these, even though an exhume can't spawn under me with this positioning, in my opinion, it's the best spot to be able to get to an exhume in 2 ticks. And then this is the last exhume that spawns at about 47 seconds, and then he wakes up at around 59 seconds. And yeah, the way the exhumes work is they're on a 12 tick cycle, and there is 7 of them. So you do your 2 other mall specs, and then the way I start the cycle is I walk for 4 ticks, and then I just click the boss, and then wait for my XP drop and step under. And then that tick that I'm stepping under now, I noticed on the visual metronome that I was clicking on 1. So now I will, if I ever get off sync at all, I will remember to resync myself by looking at the visual metronome and stepping back and clicking under on 1. So I basically have a reference, unless of course my client lags or something, but I have a reference for the entire fight for when to step under Xarp. And it's not like right in my face, I just have it in the corner of my screen, and so I'm not staring at it constantly. It's just, whenever I need a little reassurance that I'm on the right tick, or just need to get back in cycle because I get a little lost. As you get better at Xarp, you will never get lost, but it's nice to have a little backup. But yeah, this is pretty much the basic 5-tick like step under method that, in my opinion, is the best. You basically just continuously do the same method the entire kill, where you're both stepping under and using the back tiles, and you are able to that way use every back tile twice, and also step under and not use like an inner tile once while using the back tiles twice, and just give you a lot of freedom of movement as well, because when you're stepping under, you can run around to the other side of the boss pretty easily usually. And if you don't step under to like fix the cycle here, usually you end up, and then even you can use these closed tiles. You can see there that I don't get ragged by the poison if I use the closed tile perfectly like that, and you run 2 tiles away from it as the tick is getting splatted. Here, I do a little weird maneuver because I could have just manual path, but I treat it as if it was a back tile. So you can use these inner tiles as if they're back tiles, and it's the same exact cycle. You can also, use them as inner tiles, and sometimes that you can still get like 2 uses out of every tile if you don't step under it all. But the problem with that is you end up getting a lot of randoms really like flying through the air pretty quickly, and that can basically increase the likelihood. As soon as you do get 50% spec, you should try to spec, and then just don't wait for any cycle, just spec and know that it uses 6 ticks. So basically note how that affects your cycle. And then here you can see using other back tiles on side of the room, so that's really good. Use this rag tile, which I could have re-ragged a different tile, but it's about to screech anyways, and definitely don't need that tile when it does screech. It would have been nice to have that tile for some of the other tiles to use, but it's not a big deal. It's about to screech. I haven't used very much prayer. I do actually have plenty of prayer for post screech 22121, and I'm just basically making sure I don't rag the actual melee tiles that I do need for 22121. But it's perfectly fine to rag that middle tile, and you run over poison, that's fine. And yeah, as best I can. When I can, I'll wait for it to I'll wait on the same side if I know I have time to react. Another thing I'll do is I'll wait until late in the last possible tick to run and hit, because if I know I'm going to proc redemption, that way the piety will stay on while I'm running. and or while it procs redemption, the piety will stay on, and if I hit right as here, unfortunately, I have lost a tick with that. Took me quite a little bit of time under the boss to get to the tile I wanted to get to, but that just happens sometimes. I have so much extra prayer that, again, especially with the Phallus Shield, I'll just keep redemptioning and keep running to the side where it's looking to be prepared for wherever it's going to look. In this case, I could have... Okay, I do actually get piety on again, so that worked out. I may have lost a tick on that cycle, but that's fine. I do think I should chally here, and I do end up challying right at the end. Unfortunately, my divine has ran out. Because I only have 3 doses left, I'm a little scared to use it, but it works out. Fortunately, I think it could have been a sub 6 Xarpus if I had repotted and killed it with that divine, with that chally. But here we are. P1, I don't have any thrall or anything, so pretty simple. No staff uncharged to get souls or anything. Make sure you wear Lightbearer and reset your quick prayers to Pray Mage, so they're all good for P2. Unfortunately, I misclicked the step back, but it was humble, so I just tanked to 3 and didn't really change my tick cycle at all. And yeah, I mean, you just do 4-3, 4-3 the entire P1. I do flick Augury, and 1 tick flick my mage as well. I do kind of want to leave the mage on the whole time because over a long period of a solo, if you leave the mage spray off, there's a relatively decent chance that you just make a 1 tick mistake and then that's your entire run gone just because you could have prayed mage. So usually I'll leave pre-mage on. If I'm very low on supplies, and I do tank and auto, sometimes I'll consider just running to the back and sweating back up to full. But that obviously is very bad for like if you're trying to get a PB, that's going to waste a lot of time. And even if you're trying to make money, it's going to cost a lot of money in the suites. So not ideal by any means. So just pre-mage on, but also just don't fuck up. And here to go. You do want to stand away from the pillar in case it does fall, but here it's guaranteed to fall. So I go to the pillar behind it, and yeah, just rinse and repeat 4-3, 4-3, and spec when you get the spec. P1 is like super simple, just don't list ticks pretty much. So yeah, while we're here, I'll tell you a story. So I had a cat once, and it was an outdoor cat. I unfortunately, so we had 2 cats, and one was like a mother, and the other was a son. But they were all like, the mother had him when she was pretty young, because that's what cats do. They can have kids, I think, even like a year after they're born, maybe a little more. But they reproduce pretty quickly. And so they're actually pretty similar in age and both lived quite long lives. But they were both like 10 or 12, which is pretty old for a cat. And but unfortunately, I was playing around with the cat, and the cats did not like when I was playing around. So yeah, what ended up happening is I ended up putting the cat in the bed of the truck. And then I just forgot about the cat. And the problem was the bed of it would have been fine, but the bed of the truck had like the truck had like a cap on it, so like the cat was totally enclosed in the bed of the truck. So except the little cover, so there's the cover of the bed, and then it has like a little flap that can open up, and then there's also the tailgate. But the cover had like a little lever to twist to seal it, or to basically lock it in place. But that was not down. So what happens is we took the truck for a drive, we were using it, and the cat was still in there, but the flap thing was not locked. So at some point throughout the drive, we don't know where, the thing opened and the cat must have like jumped out in the middle of the road and never saw the cat again. So bad RNG for the cat. I mean, at this point, it was years ago. At this point, the cat would have been dead anyways, but yeah, still pretty sad story. But yeah, back to Verzik. And we have P2 here. So if you noticed during the P2 earlier, when that crab spawned, I did actually pop it in a little bit of an unorthodox method that you might not be familiar with. So essentially, I run back and stand for a tick on the tile, and then I run 2 ticks, and that way I'm able to blow pipe the purple crab, the exact tick that it spawns. And if I do hit my first pipe, that actually saves an entire like heal on the boss. Like so basically the way the purple crab works is it heals the boss every single 4 ticks, the same tick that the boss attacks. And but it's like when it spawns close, like it depends where you're located, where it throws the purple crab, and it depends where it throws it determines how long it takes to land, and how long it takes to land determines essentially where it lands relative to the cycle of when it's going to heal her. And basically it lands 1 tick before it's going to heal her, so you have to hit it the exact tick. And you can see, if you watch closely, when I hit it there, it instantly damages her, so the 70 purple. So if that wasn't damaged, that would have been a heal. Because if you, I've noticed at other points in Tob, you'll be like killing, the purple crab will come out before the red crabs, and it won't actually damage her until she does an attack, because it's basically stalled while she's healing. Because she's not attacking, it can't do its cycle. So yeah, basically you just keep scything away, and I actually hit pretty well on this P2. And I think another purple crab spawns here. But you just do that tick perfect maneuver when it spawns, and you never take damage. Usually you do get to 0 HP, but or not 0 HP, but usually get to a point where you have to like either Tiki or Redemption the Lightning. But I hit really well, and Blood Fury healed, so that didn't happen for me. And then with the red crab, you pretty much just use it to not lose tick scything, and hit big on it, and it gives you a lot of Blood Fury heals. You also want to rapid heal flick, or use your your prayer icon to 1 tick flick, and then flick the mage prayer as best you can, so that you're basically flicking the entire time. I'm not flicking as much as I could, but I'm also not too worried because I have 4 almost full restores in my inventory, which is more than enough for P2 and P3. P2 only really uses like a full 2 resources at worst, and on a good P2 it'll use just like 1. And then the other thing I have is a Falador shield, so that has a full 2 charges. I ended up not using it all to try and get another run that day, but I ended up not actually being able to complete another run just to skill issue or time constraints. I don't play all day every day, and so it's actually pretty realistic to bring a Falador shield on every single solo Tob, because it's kind of a lot to do more than 1 solo Tob in a day. You just do 1 before bed and hope you get a scythe, and then you go to bed sad because you never get a scythe. But that one day you get a scythe, you'll have a great night's sleep, I promise. But yeah, you just do 1 per day, and then you're all set, and you don't have to worry about prayer with this particular setup. But yeah, keep scything bid. Not much really to talk about here other than flicking either. And yeah, not losing ticks by 5 ticking the crab. You probably could, especially if you brought like a few more mage switches, do some shadowing on P2, but I don't really do that shit. I prefer to Blood Fury heal as much as possible. But I have seen some people like they'll scythe 3 times and then shadow on the 5-tick hit, and yeah, it's way too sweaty. Trying to just chill. I don't even rock kick skip. I don't swap my spellbook. But yeah, I mean, just keep hitting the boss. You can go for skip here, so because I don't have 2 claw specs, I'll go for claw scratch, and that claw scratch worked out really well. I hit a huge claw scratch, but that claw scratch puts me on a good tick where if I hadn't done that claw scratch, I basically, at the end when it's about to heal, I would have been getting the same amount of sights as if I had done the claw scratch. So obviously it does lose you ticks if you end up killing it earlier, but it might gain you an entire phase. So I just throw in the claw scratch to be safe, and in that particular case, it hit more than Scythe did, so definitely will take the W on that claw scratch. And then yeah, I usually just stand on this tile, the one marked duck 1, for everything in to pop the crab, and then yeah, I usually go a little bit further back to lure her, so that I can get a scythe off and her to walk 3 ticks. Unfortunately, she didn't walk 3 ticks. She only walked 2 ticks. So I'm actually running webs late. This is solo though. I just basically chance it. Don't catch up to my teammates because they're non-existent. So I basically just chance getting webbed, and she does end webs a little early. Because of that, unfortunately, I like fuck up the tank and tank a melee, but she hits the 0, so it doesn't actually count. But because of all that, I get, off tick and lose probably 2, maybe 3 sites before yellows spawn. And I think, yeah, yellows spawn here. If you do it tick perfectly, yellows will spawn as you throw your Charlie, but that was not tick perfect by any means. Then here I had a rule with myself, if I'm 60 HP or above, I gotta count the autos, so this is 1, 2. 60 HP or above, I will brew up and then not locator, but this looks like 4 here. I'm gonna locator down because I'm not 60, and to keep the ball. I put on the occult there just so that I don't blood fury, get like a huge heal and not able to tick eat with the ball. Unfortunately, I really should have put the Blood Fury back on, and I forget to do that for quite a few hits here. So let's count them together. So that's 3 sights. That's 4 sights with the occult on. That's 5 sights. That's 6 sights. 7 sights. 8 sights. And 9 sights probably until webs. 10 sights. And yeah, I'm also 100% spec here. 11 sights, and then I see it. 12 sights. Yeah, now I see it. And I dumped some claw specs just to keep my spec bar still regenning. But yeah, that was not ideal to do 12 sights at a 48 max hit without the Blood Fury healing me at all. But luckily she was pretty humble and did a bunch of range hits, so I was not blasted on HP. And then yeah, wait 2 ticks after the second scythe, or the first scythe after the north scythe, and you start your step under again. And then here, because I didn't fuck up webs and go baloney, I'm able to chally on the last hit before yellows, as you see right here. And eat the sweets. The sweets I did do overdo a little bit because I'm still on attack cooldown because I ate the sweets during the yellow. But benefit of the sweets is now I'm full run energy. So because I didn't bring a stam in, that's a little bit of a worry. I will say it's not as much of a worry. So now I'm 69 HP. So I'm heavily considering, yeah, I'm just, unfortunately there, what happened was I procced it the same tick that she threw the green ball. So she instantly did an attack 5 ticks later, and I didn't run away. So she meleeed. If she had hit like anything, I would have died to the green ball because the melee landed right before the green ball, but luckily it was a 0, and we take those and move on. Was still able to redemption the green ball. I will say when you're under her, it's very annoying because if she mages, like she jads you, even range sometimes, but range you have more tankiness, so it's more likely to 0. But if she jads you, then you basically get rucked because there's not enough time for you to react and switch your prayer. And then here, I kind of messed up a little bit how I started webs, so I wasn't sure how to end webs, and then I chanced another melee. It's a 0. I'm trying to set up walk pog tank, and not really doing it successfully. But here I think I do set it up. Yeah, I set up here, but it goes to yellow. I am pretty low on energy. I could have sweeted here, but I wasn't really thinking about that. I was just thinking about dodging the purple tick perfectly, and then dumping some claws. Unfortunately, misclicked my scythe there, so in order to not lose ticks, I went to claw scratch, but hit a 0, so I did not kill it. I just had to wait until the next scythe to kill it. Luckily, it was a nice little PB, and it's pretty decent. It's a little top time, in my opinion, for no maze skip and pretty shit gameplay, honestly, all things considered. No maze skip and no caping. P2 does go a lot faster with thralls because the thrall just has so much DPS, adds so much DPS relative to the scythe when it's such a high defense NPC. Lots of GZs in my clan chat, and thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and please comment mittens if you heard the cat story.